Alright everyone, this is new day, new me, slightly more congested me, and I just want to go through a lightning round of ranking some of my favorite bosses and some bosses I was recommended to look at through YouTube. So, here we go. So, this is one of the bosses I really talked about in this video, Nightmare King Grim from Hollow Knight. Obviously, I talked about how great of a challenge he is, so he's obviously going to get somewhere in B as well. I think his build-up is also pretty decent. The whole thing is you're doing this whole side quest for his little caravan, and not only that, but you fight like a not as extremely hard version of him before you fight a hard version of him. So I also think he ranks in B. The music's pretty good. I want to say it's one of the better Hollow Knight tracks in general. Yeah, I would say so. And I do think he is quite unique. He's really only one of this kind of like vampire aesthetic. He has probably the most devastating attacks in the game, and he's the only one who has like a cool gimmick, like his little bow, as far as I can remember. So honestly, I think for our first little character, we kind of get a perfect score. Oh, I honestly think Nightmare King Grim ranks in as one of the best bosses, just really in any game. Next up, we have Zeus. So this is God of War 3 Zeus, not God of War 2 Zeus, which I don't think is like a crazy boss fight or anything. Obviously, he has build up. There's a whole trilogy building up to this one fight. The only thing I think kind of hampers his build up is I really don't like him being like the final boss of 2, and then he kind of just escapes to be the final boss yet again. I think that's a little lame. As for challenge, I've always felt Zeus was kind of lacking. He's not really hard, especially compared to any of the other bosses, because by the time you reach him, you're already so strong. And this is coming from someone, I've beat this game on hard. I haven't beat it on the hardest, I'm not that crazy. But I just really don't think the difficulty of this fight is very memorable, so I'm not going to give him that. The music in God of War in general is great, and I like the overall song of this. It's not exceptional, but it works. So I'll give him AC. He is very unique. He's the only one who has this like little cutscene fight in the middle of it. I'm not the biggest fan of that part, but the rest is really cool. I love the ending where you're just beating the shit out of him and mashing circle, and I love that you could just do that forever without stopping. I think the first time I played the game, I really went on for like 6 minutes waiting for the game to stop me from beating his brains in. So I think I'm gonna give him an ACDC. But like, it's not a great C. Like the C's kind of lacking, and the D's not quite there. But the A is great. The A is great. Yeah, I'll lean him more over here. Next up, let's do Majora from Majora's Mask. Majora's kind of a hard one, because the build-up is obviously there. The whole game is about you fighting Majora. It's the title of the game. And not only that, but with the weird 3-day cycle, it really helps you feel like this is a final thing you have to do. Like you are in the final minutes of the game by the end of this boss fight, and I think that's great. The challenge is kind of, it's a complicated one, because I feel like if you fight this guy normally, he's very hard. I also suck at like Zelda games, so all of the combat is a little difficult for me. But if you have the Fierce Deity Mask, it's like a cakewalk. But with the Fierce Deity Mask kind of being its own thing, kind of like 100% completion bonus, I'm not going to rank it. I don't think it's really fair, and I don't think it's intended that your first fight with Majora is with the Fierce Deity Mask. So I am going to give him the challenge rating. just because it's so long, he has so many phases, and compared to most of the other fights in Zelda, or specifically Majora's Mask, it's just grueling, and not to mention you are severely limited on time. This is Majora's Mask, so of course all of the music is great. Majora's theme wouldn't be any different. I mean, every fucking creepypasta you've ever listened to since 2012 has used probably a song from Majora's Mask, so the music's great. I don't have to tell you that. And this is one where I don't even think it's like... It's unique among Majora's Mask, but I really think it's unique among all games. Like this, look at him. What am I looking at here? The dude moonwalks on you in the middle of a fight. He's like a scary eldritch god and he just starts moonwalking. Like he has a joke phase in the middle of this. That's insane. Not only that, but like I've mentioned previously, the time constraint is beautifully done, and the fact that you have to do like a series of checklist events every day to kind of get to him really adds something no other game really has. And for that, I know it's kind of a basic bitch thing to do, but I'm gonna have to give Majora another perfect boss fight right here. Next up, I want to do Kazuya. This is Kazuya specifically from Tekken 8. I'll cut that real quick. Next up, I want to do Kazuya. This is Kazuya specifically from Tekken 8, the newest Tekken game. Mostly because I know Lifetime, and as I mentioned in the rest of the video, Tekken 8 is no exception, where the rest of the campaign is okay, and then the boss fight is just crazy for no reason. Build up, like I mentioned in the video, it's insane. It's been building up since before I was born. Like, this is the fight we've all been wanting. Like, since Tekken 3, really, I guess, with Jin being introduced. You can maybe argue Tekken 4, but I feel like at that point you're kind of splitting hairs. But, like, there's build-up. Not to mention, even in its own game, the first fight you have in the campaign is against Kazuya as Jin, and you get your ass kicked. And I'm a sucker for that shit. I love having a boss fight that's supposed to be super challenging and hard and makes you go and play the whole rest of the game trying to get a rematch. That's like one of my favorite things. Normally, I would say this fight isn't very challenging. You have a lot of health. You have a lot of little gimmicks, like you get heat whenever you really need it. During half the fight, you're like Angel Jin, and it's basically you mash buttons and win. You don't have to do anything. But then just recently, I went for the trophy of beating this chapter on hard, and he kicked my ass in. So I think he gets difficulty, especially among the rest of the campaign. Nothing is quite as challenging as him. Especially, there's this really cool thing he does at the end, where he will wave dash at you, which is like an iconic Kazuya thing to do. And the trick against wave dashing is you're supposed to just hit people out of it, like you're not supposed to let it scare you. But the moment you hit him, he has power armor for no fucking reason and instantly punishes you. And when that shit started happening to me, I was shitting my pants. That was such a good little twist. So I'm gonna give him the challenge rating. Where is that? Am I stupid? Oh, he's right here, yeah. Music, fucking superb. It is superb. First of all, the song they used for Tekken 8 is already like perfect. It's great. I love it. No complaints. But the moment when you switch to Jin's old school fighting style and you hear that Jin theme win, that what the fuck was that? That was Doom Guy. The little guitar riff from Tekken 3. Instantly, I knew what was gonna happen. I knew I was gonna be able to hell sweep as Jin. And that shit alone makes this boss fight, man. Perfect. Perfect music. And as for Unique, I'm a little mixed. It's a great boss fight, but it is very, very similar to the Tekken 7 boss fight, nearly identical. If they didn't have the moveset change you get, I don't think it would even be in the running. So just for the sake of this, I don't know, man. I don't think he gets unique. I could be argued. But right now I'm kind of thinking ABC. Maybe by the end of this. Oh my god, this is such a tiny little bubble. Maybe by the end of this I'll change my mind. But right now, Kazuya's here. Next up, the Queen from Ico. This is another kind of, I don't want to say niche. It's a well-known game, but I don't think this would be one you think of right away. The Queen from Ico. Ico is one of my favorite games. I don't think its boss fights are like anything crazy, but I just kind of wanted to talk about it. Build up is great. The whole game, you know she's going to be the big bad, and it's all about either escaping her or then eventually realizing you have to fight her. So she gets build up. Challenge, not quite there. It's a very easy puzzle. You basically realize, hide behind a pillar, you dodge her. That's the fight. Music, all of the music in Ico is great. Of course her theme's good. What can I say? There's a couple of these where it's like the music's good, but it's not like ball-droppingly like, this is something I need to talk about. Like, the music's good. What do you want me to say? And while she's unique among Ico, I don't think she's a very unique boss fight at all. Like, it is a very simple, do this one goal, hit her once, go do the goal again, hit her. It's not very crazy. The game is more so about getting to that point than that actual point. So I'm going to give her a solid A, B, wherever that is. And this is coming from someone who loves Ico. I don't think the boss fight is the important part of that game, and that's kind of what I'm trying to show here. Master Hand. This is iconic. This is like the boss fight. People who don't know shit about video games, there's a good chance they know what Master Hand is. I think this is one where the build-up is kind of twisted. Like, Master Hand is not really foreshadowed at all, really. It kind of comes out of nowhere, and I almost think that's why it's good. It's so alien and so different from anything else in the game that I think the complete lack of build-up and the fact that it just surprises you with this humanoid-ass hand, perfect. I think that's part of why it's so iconic. Challenging, it's good for like a party game. It's good for like a little final boss fight of a fighting game. Smash isn't a very hard game. It's not a very hard boss fight. But I mean, like, every time I go back to Melee, I feel like Master Hand usually takes me 1 or 2 tries to really get it. And it does have a lot of health, man. It really does. All of the Smash music is pretty good. I'm hearing the theme of Master Hand in my head as I'm talking about this. It's one of the more hype Smash tracks, which Smash already has a great soundtrack, so obviously it gets this. And unique, I mean, it's a giant fucking hand. Its moveset is unlike anything else in the game. It looks completely alien. It fights completely different. It's like the only thing that's stamina based, if I can remember correctly. It's perfect. This is another perfect iconic boss right here. And this is specifically the Melee version is what I'm thinking. Next up, we had Red. So this is Red from Silver, the second game where you can actually fight him as a little boss fight. This is one where build-up is kind of weird and difficult because he's not really, like, there's not a lot of build-up in the game, right? He's a secret final boss. But there's build-up because that's you, man. Like, you know Red. You've been Red. You've completed his journey. And the fact that you have to, like, kind of climb this entire mountain to reach that, and then the kind of twist is that it's me. Like, that's cool. That's super cool. And just the fact that you're the last protagonist. That's awesome. As for challenge, yeah, he has, like, the highest leveled Pokemon, I want to say, in the entire series. I want to say he has the highest Pokemon you can fight a trainer with, like, flat in the entire franchise. Not to mention, like, it's a good loadout. It's Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur, Pikachu with the Lightning Bulb, I want to say, or Lightning Orb, uh, Gyarados, and Lapras. Like, that's a good party. God, I got that all in my first try. Like, there's not a solid weakness, I want to say. See, the music goes hard. Pokemon music is either super, like, forgettable and mundane, or it's flawless. And I would say this is in here. As for unique, yeah, it's unique. It's the person you played as. Not to mention the fact that his party is all of the Pokemon you can catch, like mandatory story-wise catch in the game. That's super cool. And he's fucking insanely hard, which compared to the rest of the Pokemon game, like, it's not as hard. So for me, this is another perfect little secret boss. A lot of guys are getting right here. I'm kind of surprised. All right, we're so back. Okay, Cynthia, the next Pokemon one. Cynthia, she's kind of weird because I feel like she's not great, but people love her. Maybe I'm just wrong, but, like, I think she's all right. Build up is there. She's not quite rival, but she's shown as, like, the big elite. She's cool. I think she has build up. Challenge. She's a very hard trainer. Very memorable. Cynthia. Basically the same exact thing as Red. Good build up. Hard ass fight. Great battle theme. Is she unique? Is she? I might have to say no. Like, especially compared to Red? No way, man. I don't think so. You can argue with me in the comments. Melania, Blade of Mikola. In spite, part of me just wants to throw her off into the trash, but I won't. Build up? None at all. There is no fucking build up for nearly any Dark Souls boss. Honestly, the build up is like the community being like, hey, this boss fight's hard as hell. But, like, honestly, I never even fucking ran into her until after I beat the game. Like, by the time I beat the game and started looking up the bosses, that's when I was like, oh, maybe I should go fight this bitch. But I never ran into her, or knew she existed. So no, I'm not gonna give her build up. Challenge though, yeah. Yeah, I'll give her challenge. This is probably one of the hardest boss fights I've ever done in my life. She kind of gets ever so close to hitting that, like, I just don't think this is fair challenge. Like, waterfowl stance. Like, I think the time I finally beat her was more just because she wasn't doing it as much. There's other times where, like, she would just spam it 4 or 5 times in a row and I would die before I could hit her. But I'll give her challenge. She's pretty fair, and I know you can dodge waterfowl stance. I'm just bad at it. Music, it's Elden Ring. All of the music's good. Her theme is exceptionally well done. Unique. Unique. Among Elden Ring bosses, I'll say yeah. It's pretty hard to get a humanoid, like relatively humanoid-sized boss in Elden Ring. The acrobatics aren't super unique. I think the closest she's similar to is it Malekith? But even he has like a gimmick item you could find that makes this fight a little easier. With her, you just need to memorize how to fight her. So I think I'll give her unique. So a BCD. Just because you cannot convince me there's any build-up. And if you say there's some fucking item I can read, some item description that tells me all about her lore, shut up. There's no build. Yes, there's build up from outside the game, like the audience build up. But the game itself does not build her up, and I'm not going to count that. Jetstream Sam. Like, before I even say anything, he's going to go here. He's going to go right there. Build up, they do the classic. They do the classic. He's one of the first bosses you fight. He kicks your ass in an unwinnable, like, fight. It's perfect. It's perfect. It makes you hate him. Challenge? He's a great challenge because he's nearly identical to your moveset, but different. And because of that, you both play kind of the same way. And especially when you get to those harder difficulties, where if he hits you like twice, you're dead. But if you start doing like perfect parries on him, you're going to hit him like 3 times and he's dead. It's awesome. And also the combos you can do with him are insane. This is the one I really want to talk about. Jetstream Sam's song is like iconic at this point, along with the rest of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance soundtrack. But his song makes the boss fight. Like, the lyrics of his song tell you everything you need to know about this character. It's perfect. Everything else has gotten here because it's good. He is getting here because it is the gold standard, flawless. And yes, he's unique. He is the only level, really, besides the final boss himself, that is just like you start the level and it's a boss fight. Not only that, but it is a super small little arena, no gimmicks, no anything, of just you and him fighting it out. It's perfect. It's fucking perfect. It's going right here. There you go. Oh. Maulus. This is the last boss in Shadow of the Colossus. So for build-up, it's great. He gets it. You know there's only 16 Colossi, so when you get to this, you know this is the end. Not only that, but your loyal companion, spoilers, your loyal companion Aggro, your horse you've had the whole game, dies getting you to this boss fight. So that kind of serves as like the nail in the coffin of like, this is it. This is make or break. Ooh. As for challenge, I really don't think he's hard at all. I think if anything, he's one of the easier fights in the game. The only thing that really serves as challenging is there's a bullshit spot in his shoulder you kind of just have to guess to hit, which isn't the craziest thing to do, but like, it's not very hard. So I don't think he gets B. C, Demise of the Ritual is great. It's slow, it's forbidding, and most of all, it really fits the theme of like, if you didn't realize you were the bad guy before this, now you do. This is like your final boss theme. And unique, yeah. He's one of the main, like, humanoid colossi. Like, this is straight up a man, and that's fucking really weird to me. And also the fact that he's bolted into the ground, doesn't really move. And when you notice, like, when you're far away, he's shooting, he's blasting at you. But when you get close, he really doesn't even, like, attack you. Like, half of how you kill him is just, he's curious as to what you are. I think that's really unique among Shadow of the Colossus. So I'm going to give him another ACD, right next to Zeus. I'll save you for later. Alright, let's do Metal Gear Solid 4 Liquid Chris. So, Liquid here, it's another, like, the whole series has been building up to this. You knew this boss fight was going to happen. Even within the game it's built up, but it has the franchise building it up. Challenge, it's like 8 fucking years long. All close quarters combat. It's good. Music, fucking insane. It goes through like the entire theme of every Metal Gear game. the entire fucking screen changes to reflect the song that's playing. It's super unique. This is another I think is perfect. Right next to Jetstream Sam. Another Metal Gear. Psycho Mantis. The build-up is okay. It's fine. That's all I'll say. I don't think he gets anything special here. The challenge, it's unique among the game because you as a person has to think, which is going to be discussed more here, but like the challenge is unique here. The music's fine. It's nothing crazy. It's alright. I don't think it really gets it. So really, it's mostly just that it's fucking very unique with the whole psychic thing and having to change your controller. It's what I already discussed in the video. So I think he's gonna get like right here. I mostly talked about him in the video, but Gigas from Earthbound. Plenty of build-up. The whole game is really getting towards this moment. Ball sack crushing hard. The music is terrifying. And as for everything I discussed in the video, I really think he's a perfect boss. As someone who really doesn't even care for like JRPGs, this guy's so fucking cool. He's so cool. If you know me, there's no debate. There's nothing. The whole game builds up to him. He's ball sack hard. The music's great. He's unique. He's the only humanoid boss besides Navan, really. And it's the fact that his moveset keeps changing every time you fight him. This is the gold standard of bosses. This is what every boss should be reaching for. It's perfect. Right here. That's perfection. This is the Super Brain, I believe, from Metroid. Build up, it's great. From the very beginning, you know what you're doing. It's decently hard. I'll give it to him. All Metroid music's great. I don't think it's very unique. Actually, let's just delete this. And then finally, Matt from Wii Sports. Just gonna yeah, I think that kind of sums up where he goes.